And that's what over 90% of Americans think. But in Washington, they don't think that's real at all because they're in a bubble. But MAGA is also in a bubble, and a very significant bubble. And they don't get that the rest of the country doesn't think that immigrants are eating cats and dogs and that there's post-birth abortions and all the other lunatic things that Donald Trump won 2020. So if you stay in your own bubble, you by definition are not reaching enough people to win an election.
Again, to me, it seems like it's the information he's getting. For example, when he was citing how world leaders support him, he thought that citing Viktor Orban, right, from Hungary, would be proof that, see world leaders. And again, the only people who talk about Viktor Orban are people in the right-wing media bubble. Let's listen. This is number one.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president.
Again, it comes back for me that it's the information that he's getting. And I think, look, I don't think this is going to have a big impact, as many on the left have been suggesting, oh, this is going to be, this is it. I don't know if this is going to move the polls that much. You think it will?
Yeah, I do, Dan.
Really?
So, yeah, I do, because I checked the last 4 big debates all the way back to 2016, Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. There was a significant bump in the polls after the debate. And obviously, the last debate was the one with Trump Biden was the most impactful one we've ever had. I mean, Biden cratered so much in the polls that he left the race. So, and remember, it looks like about 60 to 65 million people watched the debate last night, which is a giant number.
Yeah.
And 48% of them had not made up their mind about Kamala Harris yet. You see a CNN poll comes in 50-50. She comes out 63-37 after the debate. Those are enormous numbers. I now think Kamala Harris is the favorite. And I did not think that until now. I thought it was 50-50. But I think it's pretty clear now that it's her race to lose.
All right. Cenk Uygur, thank you very much. As always, appreciate it. All right, for another perspective on this, joining us now is former Republican Congressman from South Carolina and former acting White House Chief of Staff under Donald Trump, Mick Mulvaney, NewsNation political contributor. Mick, thanks very much for coming on. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you make of my criticism that Trump is getting too much of his information from the far-right echo chamber, and so when he shows up at a debate like this, that's what he's repeating?
Yeah, Dan, I got to give you credit. I didn't think about that till I watched the opening. I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is what I've always worried about with Donald Trump, is he got tired of having people around him who would tell him stuff he didn't want to hear. It's one of the reasons that he asked me to leave the White House. So when you don't have that, when you don't have someone, saying, look, there's also another side of this story, there's also something else we need to look at, you can get in that echo chamber. And I wonder, now that you've raised the issue, I think it's one that's worth exploring.
And I mentioned with Cenk this idea of Viktor Orban, right? I mean, they're talking about world leaders. She's insulting him, using the word disgrace. And I talked to all these world leaders who, think you're ridiculous. And Trump responds with Viktor Orban, who, as I just said to Cenk, is someone who really only people in the right-wing echo chamber talk about as a sort of one of the top world leaders out there. And that's kind of what got me thinking about this to some degree is, my goodness, he's citing Viktor Orban as an example of how world leaders support him, and yet I know who's talking about Viktor Orban.
I think it's a fair criticism. I think it's a fair point that Trump could make, because Viktor Orban is a president of a European nation. He's a legitimately elected. He's a member of the European Union. So I think he can say, look, no, I've got good relationships with some of them, and other ones I struggle with. I think that's a fair answer. But to go back to your thesis, that the reason he's going to that is because that's what he's hearing every single day inside Mar-a-Lago and inside Bedminster. Yeah, I think it's a real risk.
You think he should do another debate, and do you think he's going to?
I was really interested to hear the Harris team say almost immediately after the debate that they wanted another one. I think there's 2 reasons for that, Dan. Number one, they're comfortable now she can do it. They were really worried last night. Now that they think she can do it, they want to have another one. But why would they want to have another one if they really did so great, as everybody says last night? They see the same data everybody else sees. This race is going to be so close, despite her performance last night. So I think, yeah, if she wants another one, she wants another debate. I think Trump would take that in a second.
Even though he's saying he won't even take hosts like Martha McCallum and Brett Baer from Fox News because they're too unfair to him?
You know, there's going to be a negotiation under the rules. But look, Donald Trump's not going to be able to turn down the earned media, especially if they think the race is going to be really, really close. If you're winning, you don't want to debate. If you're losing, you want to debate. If you don't know, you go to the debate.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.